White House Deputy Chief of Staff for Policy Stephen Miller posting on X, in part, the fact that Lindsey started out as a political opponent only to become one of the president's most steadfast and faithful supporters underscores that Lindsey believed emphatically in the voice of the people. Stephen Miller joins me now. Stephen, thank you for being with us here today. I saw what you posted on X. I just had Senator Dave McCormick on with us a moment ago before we heard that from the South Carolina governor. And one of the final words he used to me, Stephen, to describe Lindsey was joy in the way he approached his job. And I saw something similar in what you wrote on X about this was a man in his element serving as a senator.
Yes. Well, first of all, let me just say how touched and moved I am by the governor's appointment of Lindsey's sister to finish out his Senate term. Something that is, of course, the president said he felt was the right thing to do. We all feel is the right thing to do. And I'm sure if Lindsey was here and could talk to us, he would say this is exactly what he wanted. Look, like everybody, I'm shocked, stunned, can't even really fully process that Lindsey is gone because he was so vibrant, so dynamic, so full of life. This really was the most vibrant chapter of his career. Those of us who worked in the White House, we got to spend so much time with Lindsey behind the scenes in meetings on Air Force One, at summits. This was a man, as I said, as you pointed out, who loved his job. He loved being a senator. He loved serving the people. You know, too often we get so cynical, Will, when we talk about long-serving politicians. We forget that it is in the noblest tradition of this country to be a faithful, dedicated, selfless public servant. Lindsey didn't want to do anything else with his life but be the senator for the good people of South Carolina. And it brings me some measure of peace knowing that we at the White House had a chance to tell Lindsey, of course not expecting him to ever go, how much he meant to us. On more than one occasion, I had the chance to tell Lindsey how lucky and blessed I felt that we got to develop the friendship that we did. And I know many others had that chance too, because as soon as President Trump won that election, Lindsey was everywhere. And I mean that in the best possible way. He was calling with ideas, proposals, pitches, and especially important to Lindsey was spearheading that signature piece of legislation, the great big beautiful bill. Remember one day, Lindsey invited me to the Senate lunch when we needed to get those last few votes to the reconciliation bill, and there were a few senators, they were waffling a little bit, and Lindsey just let him have it in that classic Lindsey way. He said, I dare you to vote no. I dare you to vote against this bill. I dare you to tell your voters that you didn't come up and deliver for President Trump exactly what we all campaigned on, what we promised. And by the way, it was Donald Trump who got us the Senate majority. And when Lindsey was done, he had moved everyone he needed to move in that room. And you talk about that Kavanaugh moment. What made it work was the point of absolute conviction that it came from. Will, you can't fake conviction. Americans can spot a phony from a million miles away. When they see these politicians on TV or in their Instagram videos with their fake videos, their fake histrionics, their fake emotions, they don't buy it. What made that moment work was the total sincerity and conviction it came from. To know Lindsey was to know sincerity. We all know Lindsey over the years had fights with the base and fights with conservatives. The fact that he came to be one of the most important allies of Trump and Trumpism and MAGA made it an even greater testament to his character, because it showed that unlike so many people, as I said in my post, Lindsey believed to his core in the wisdom and virtue and judgment of the people, and he was open to learning and embracing new thoughts and new ideas as an elder statement in the party. And by the way, as I told Lindsey, we learned so much from him. We learned so much from Lindsey with his passion, his conviction, and his belief in the greatness of America. So, look, we're heartbroken that Lindsey is gone. I wish that more people had a chance to get to know him behind the scenes, to know who he really was. But the man was a force of nature, a force of life, and he's someone we're still going to be talking about 100, 200 years from now.
Well, Stephen, my favorite part of your post was when you talked about one of those raucous meetings where it was a big back and forth, a debate. perhaps Lindsey haranguing either Democrats or Republicans, whatever it may have been at the end, you say he turned and said, "Isn't this so much fun?" And he just loved this entire process. As I say, that's a man for his moment. I do want to ask you one last thing. I want to get your thoughts on this, Stephen.
Lindsey would say all the time to us, he would just turn to us. He would smile, the biggest smile, flash all of his teeth, and he would just say, "I love you guys so much." In other words, we would be in these knockdown, drag-out meetings on issue after issue, and he would just hug us and say, "God, I love you guys. I wish Trump could be in office for 10 more terms." He embraced and lived every moment. But yes, your next question, sorry.
Well, sorry, Stephen, and I'm up against time, but I don't want to get out of here without mentioning this, because I think it's important. You talk about Lindsey's relationship at times with the base and where there might have been disagreements even on the right when it comes to Lindsey Graham, and I'm sure I'm one of those that had some significant disagreements from time to time, and I didn't get to know him as a person. But this seems to be one of the biggest testaments. Lindsey Graham dies at the age of 71, having spent over 3 decades in the Senate. His net worth, as reported today, was somewhere between $600,000 and $2 million, roughly about 1.5 perhaps, and most of that in a home in D.C. and a home back in South Carolina. When we talk about politicians that go to D.C. for whatever period of time and come out mysteriously more wealthy, and we could name the names, Lindsey Graham was a man who seemed to do this for service, for love of the game, not for personal enrichment.
And that's the right phrase to use, right? For love of the game. Look, you want senators. Look, you don't want politicians who grumble and complain, "Oh, my God, it's so hard, so many flights, and I don't get paid enough, I don't have enough free time, and I can't do this, and I can't do that, and I don't have this committee or that committee." You want senators who love being a senator, who embrace what it means, who embrace the opportunity, who seek no personal enrichment. And this is an important point. Look, this isn't about, this is not the time for policy and politics. This is the time for mourning and grieving and remembering and celebrating a life. But I do want to say this because it is so important. You talk about Lindsey's legacy and past fights with the base. Let's remember this. It was Lindsey Graham who spearheaded the effort in the Senate to pass the largest, biggest, most significant border security and immigration enforcement package in American history. As soon as we won, he came to us and said, "I'm going to get that border bill passed, come hell or high water, whatever it takes, I'm getting it to President Trump's desk," and he did. And a lot of people talk, a lot of people have opinions, a lot of people say a lot of things. But when push came to shove, he delivered to President Trump the most important immigration bill signed to this point in American history, and we're seeing the results of that legislation every day, Will.
Well, Stephen, I know you wanted to come on with us today. I know you wanted to share your thoughts on Lindsey Graham. We appreciate you for doing so. It is a day. You know, this is not the day. A lot of people treat the day when a big politician or a public figure dies as a day to remember whatever it is they disagree with or whatever it is they believe were their low light. That is not the right time. That is not the time.
It's the day to remember his soul, the kindness,
that's exactly right,
the gentleness,
human being,
and the joy of his soul.
Thank you so much for doing so with us today, Stephen Miller.
Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube and catch full shows streaming now on Fox One.